Hello everyone, Mayor Coral Evans here with my mayoral update. I'm here today with individuals from Gore Associates. Gore has been in our community for over 50 years, and I'm talking with them today about what they've been doing to help address the issue of COVID-19 here in our community. First up, I have the opportunity to speak with scientist Roy Braun, who is at Gore Associates. Tell me about what's going on.
Hi, Mayor. Thanks for the opportunity to come and share with you what we've been doing in response to the pandemic. First and foremost, Gore's implemented some policies internally, like a lot of other institutions have, around protecting associate health and the health of the families of the associates. So we've made adjustments in our operations and our plants, and we manufacture essential medical devices. So we still have operations going in our plants, manufacturing medical devices, but a lot of associates are also working from home. We have, since early March, in response to the pandemic, started to sort of think creatively about how we might be able to help with some solutions, particularly for personal protective equipment, where we're known here as a medical device company, but we're really a material science company. And we have a lot of materials we think we could use to help supplement some of the personal protective equipment that healthcare workers could use out in the field. And so we sort of formed a global steering team early on in this response and started to take in requests from outside of Gore for ways that we can help and triage that into opportunities we thought we could pursue that could be used to help both locally and globally, using our material solutions in partnership with manufacturers and universities and other organizations to get those materials out. And so we've done that a number of different ways. We first and foremost found surplus commercial materials that we could donate, and we've done that here locally in the community to some of the local hospitals. That was just sort of excess safety materials that, since we have laboratories, we had some of those materials available. But then we also started to have some internal initiatives to create new kinds of items or supplementary kind of items for healthcare workers. And that's kind of along several different lines that we brought some examples of today, in both isolation garments, using some of our fabrics know-how together with partners, as well as some of our filtration knowledge, using some of our materials to help create sort of options for different types of respirators and masks. And so we have a couple of those examples that we brought here today.
Well, we would love to see them if you don't mind.
Fantastic. So I'm going to start and talk about some of the personal protective equipment related to masks, filtration, or protection around the face area. A couple of examples are leveraging our advanced materials capability, and one example is actually not necessarily around materials so much as it is employing our engineering and prototyping capability to create replacement parts for respirators that healthcare workers use in hospitals.
So would you mind showing us some of these things you've been talking about?
Absolutely. I'm going to just head over to your side over there. We're going to keep our distancing, and I'll show you a couple of the items that I brought.
Thank you.
So before I sort of jump into a little bit of a short, quick demo on the different, some examples of some things that we've been doing, I wanted to just highlight that this is the work of a lot of different associates, and it's actually not just here locally where the contributions have come. So we have other divisions across the globe, and this is really the collective effort of individuals across multiple divisions, not just medical products associates here in Flagstaff. And so the first item I wanted to show, and I'll bring it here into view of the camera, this is a mask concept, and it's very much not unlike the mask I'm wearing right now. And what this N95-like respirator mask is intended to do is supplement the existing personal protective equipment that's already out in the market, that's everybody knows is in short supply. And part of the reason for the short supply is obviously overwhelming demand globally, but there's also scarcity in the raw materials that are used to make these masks. And one of the materials that's actually scarce right now is melt-blown polypropylene, which is formed in layers and helps create the filtration effect in a mask like the N95 respirator. that I'm wearing. So what some engineers and scientists at Gore have developed as a prototype here is an N95 substitute mask that still contains some of that melt-blown polypropylene, but also contains some of the expanded polytetrafluoroethylene that Gore is well known for and is used in multiple divisions from anything from jackets to medical products. And so this is essentially an N95 mask. You can see it would be worn in this way with a piece that fits over the nose. And this is intended to be sort of a single-use mask to sort of supplement what's out in the field. And because it uses far less polypropylene and it's augmented with PTFE, with expanded polytetrafluoroethylene, you can sort of stretch the supply that's out there. So that's one solution, and we're working with manufacturing partners and universities and other organizations to get this out in the field. And eventually, there's a longer-term plan to create a mask like this made entirely out of ePTFE without any of the polypropylene. And that would be essentially designed and intended for potentially reuse as well. So there's been some filtration testing on this, and at this time, we're still waiting on sort of official testing from government labs for certification of that material. So that's one example. And I'm going to take this off and show you sort of a very radically different looking filtration concept. So this is actually a cartridge filter that is can be attached to any sort of mask. It's modular and uses sort of an industry standard connection point. Actually, the frame that it's attached to is actually another concept that not just Gore is pursuing, but is being done sort of in what's called the maker community across the country. And this is actually a 3D printed face mask frame that can accept any kind of filtration module you want to add to that. And there are loops that could go through these fittings here to attach that to your face. And so what Gore has been working on across expertise from multiple divisions, in particular from our performance solutions divisions, which has been in the industrial filtration business for a long time, you can see inside this cartridge is a filter that is a pleated filter that is not unlike the kind of filter you might see in a shop vac, for example. But actually the filter that's in here has very, very good filtration capability with very good flow rates. And so using this industry standard attachment, you could conceivably attach this to any number of mask frames that could accept it. And the team has designed this and intended for possible reuse. So this material can actually be decontaminated multiple times, for example, in a steam sterilizer for many, many cycles. And things like steam sterilizers are available at many clinics and hospitals. And so that would allow some reuse. So the theme here is sort of sustainability and reuse of that material for filtration on a mask. And the last concept is quite different. You're going to see a little smiley face on this if you can see that in focus. This is actually an example of one of the local solutions that we've been driving here in the Arizona area. When we initially donated some excess supply materials to local hospitals like Flagstaff Medical Center, we also heard from the teams over there that one item that they were in short supply of was this very somewhat simple looking face shield. What this material actually forms is a face shield around a helmet. And these helmets are used by respiratory nurses and other healthcare staff, and they're part of what's called a powered respirator that purifies air. And so these are really the preferred protective equipment over a mask like the kind I'm wearing, because they're actually actively filtering the air and they're under positive pressure and pushing air away from your face. So that is the preferred PPE that people are using, like in intensive care units. And one of the consumable parts on that helmet is this face shield. And unfortunately, because of the demand issues that are going on in the market, they cannot get the original manufacturer replacement parts. They've been in pretty deep back order. So we were challenged with this problem, and some of our local engineers and prototypers here in Flagstaff felt like they could come up with a solution. So about a week after we saw what they were working with, the team created this solution face shield. It doesn't really use any Gore specific materials. It's really just using know-how in engineering and design And within about a week of learning what the issue was, the team here locally had assembled and figured out a solution for this face shield. And actually, we set up an assembly line in one of our plants that's actually not operational right now. So they, the lunchroom, for example, is vacant. A bunch of lunch tables were set up and some equipment was brought in, and some associates came in and have been volunteering their time, working pretty much full time throughout the weeks to assemble these. And so far, we've delivered about 3,500 of these face shields to local hospitals, including Flagstaff Medical Center, Verde Valley Medical Center, Tuba City Regional Healthcare, and most recently Banner Health down in the valley. So this concept actually, like I said, came together in about a week. And while I don't have the helmet here, what this is a flexible face shield. It snaps on to fittings on the helmet, and there's actually a little sleeve here that gets pulled down and fits around the neck area to form a seal. So you can see this this elastic sleeve that fits around the neck. And so these are assembled over in one of our plants here in Flagstaff. Like I said, several thousand have been delivered thus far. A little added gesture from the team manufacturing them is there's a little smiley face sticker that accompanies every face shield, and we've gotten a lot of really positive response from the local hospitals who've been able to keep those respirators going because they can get this reusable part now. So those are my examples.
So Scientist Baran, thank you so much for walking us through the technology that you have here on the table. That was absolutely incredible and fantastic and fascinating to know that these are the types of things that we are doing right here in Flagstaff. I wanted to ask you a little bit about yourself as a scientist for Gore. Did you always know that you wanted to be a scientist, and did you ever dream you'd be doing something like this?
So I knew from very early on that I was interested in the sciences, particularly in biological sciences, and really, I would say, like many of us during this sort of unprecedented time, wouldn't have imagined that we'd be doing this kind of stuff. And this is really not part of something Gore normally makes. So this is really just sort of a reaction to what's going on in our community and globally. I could say that I didn't really imagine I'd be doing this, but it's been incredibly rewarding, and I'm very excited that we have sort of the talent and capability to be able to provide some solutions for healthcare workers.
So, lastly, what would you tell our high school students that didn't get a chance to graduate, but they're definitely going forward in their lives? They're going to do some incredible things, right? The class of 2020. What would you tell them about, hey, if they want to be a scientist, how would they do that?
Well, I would say I know it's been a rough year for school, and hopefully everybody is able to get their lessons done at home and move on. And the marketplace is going to rebound, and I think there's something quite focusing about these kinds of emergencies that really allow us to think about what's absolutely critical and important. And there's nothing like when you have a very clear problem out in the community to help rally your skills and talents to come up with solutions. And it's quite amazing, like I said, the kind of work that it took to make some of these items is not just sort of one person, it's a bunch of skills and talents in STEM fields to come together and organize around a problem and come up with solutions very quickly. And it's pretty impressive what some of that education people have had in both engineering and science, in the sciences. You can see its practical application come together really quickly from a lot of talented people. And we need more of that talent out in the field at different companies, including at Gore.
Thank you so much for your time today. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
We're now going to talk to the engineering side of the house. I have with me today Jennifer Robino, who is an engineer at Gore. And what can you tell me about this?
Well, hey there, Mayor Evans. Thanks for letting me talk today about our gown project. It's super exciting. As you know, in Flagstaff, we're focused primarily on implantable medical devices. But this opportunity came with a partnership with our fabrics division, which you might know makes outerwear, military, firefighting applications. And we took some of that fabric and figured out how to partner with other manufacturers across the country and make medical isolation gowns. So that's an example of one isolation gown, and that is truly our Gore-Tex fabric, which is a laminate material with a PTFE membrane, and it's got the camouflage on there. We have those actually on doctors at FMC.
Nice.
So we have other examples. What we are able to do so far is we have donated 40,000 meters, which translates to about 18,000 gowns. And about half of those have stayed within Arizona locally. And then others have gone to meet other countrywide needs. So this is a gray. This is also made with a cross-tech fabric that's typically used in firefighting applications. It's a little heavier duty. And this is actually being made at a company called AmSafe that usually makes restraints for aircraft. And so this is a seatbelt material used for the belt. So they've repurposed that. And then our last one is a little lighter weight, and it's got that camo green color.
You know, I was saying off the camera that I used to work at WL Gore Associates back in the 90s for 5 years, and how proud I was to be associate then, and how absolutely proud I am now at the work that WL Gore and Associates is doing here in our community in response to COVID-19. It's absolutely incredible, the partnerships and everything that you're doing.
It's super exciting to be working at Gore today in response to the pandemic. We've got so many people and so many associates that are using their time, their tools, and their talent to help respond in addition to their day jobs. So we're continuing to, do business as usual. We still have demands to meet for our life-saving medical devices, and yet people are going above and beyond to help the community.
And so you are an engineer.
Yes.
Can we talk about that for a moment? Because
Sure.
when you walked in and I had the opportunity to chat with you, I just thought it was really important that we talk about the fact that you are an engineer. You're at WL Gore and Associates. You're making some incredible pieces of equipment that are life-saving. You're also a female. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I was an engineer back when there weren't a lot of female engineers. I graduated school in 1992 with one other female mechanical engineer. And it's an interesting shift because now I have a daughter that's studying engineering at NAU, and there's a lot more females in that field. So it's been an interesting evolution. I went from being primarily surrounded by a male type of environment to at Gore. There are often times where I'll be in meetings and every one of us will be a female engineer.
So what advice would you have? We talk about, the class of 2020 did not get to graduate as we have in the past, but they're going out into a bold new world with a lot of different challenges that perhaps we didn't have. What recommendations would you have for the class of 2020?
Gee, I have a niece that's graduating in 2020, so this is true to my heart here. There's going to be obstacles along the way in everybody's life, and this is certainly unprecedented. But I would say, to pick yourself up and rise to the occasion and focus on what you're good at, and you'll be successful.
Well, it has been an honor to be able to talk to you and your scientist cohort from WL Gore and Associates. And so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mayor.